your host, Brittany Rue. Today we are going to look at an exclusive bombshell report by a female inmate in a California women's prison alleging an unthinkable, savage assault against another inmate housed at the prison by a recent transferee of a trans-identified male who secured transfer to the women's prison from, I believe it was Kent State. I have to double check. Kent State Prison, men's prison. This story is really unbelievable. So the allegation is that Jonathan Robertson, his CDCR number is WB 1151, age 31, who was admitted on December 10th of 2015, who is now currently housed at Central California Women's Facility. I want to go through, and he has parole eligibility date of November 2025. So I want to go through this story. Hey, Abel, how are you? Hey guys, I want to go through this story. It's really, really shocking, and it's just crazy that this is where we are right now in our justice system. It's yet another example of how previously trusted civil rights organizations, NGOs, and even government organizations have failed women in the most remarkable ways that we've seen in modern history. So the American Civil Liberties Union, or the ACLU, has fought to secure transfer for trans-identified males from men's prisons into women's prisons, and even bucking the alternative solution of creating alternative lifestyle units for vulnerable male inmates, such as gay inmates, trans-identifying males, gender non-conforming males, and rather than doing that, they are pushing hard to get these men in women's prisons, and it is happening across the United States at unbelievable record numbers, and no one's talking about it, and it's just happening under the radar. And predictably, we are seeing more and more horrific offenses against the women who are housed in these prisons. These women are totally unable to defend themselves and are being housed with some of our society's most dangerous males. And so let's get into the article, and then I'll give some commentary kind of as we go. All right, so this article was written by Anna Slatz for Redux. Again, if you are not familiar with Redux, you really should check it out. It is a new women's publication, a feminist publication by women for women. It started and run by two really amazing women, Genevieve Gluck and Anna Slatz, both who have professional experience in journalism. Both are just doing remarkable work. So, definitely stay plugged in with this publication. They are on the ground. They are doing the reporting that nobody else is doing. They're doing the reporting that our mainstream media outlets are failing to do. And these are some of the most important news pieces of our day. And again, we are the ones. We're the ones, you guys. We're the ones who have to stand up and be counted. We're the ones who have to talk about this stuff. We are the ones who have to dig out this information, because what is so clear is that nobody is going to do it for us. So it's on us. So anyway, like I said, shout out to Anna Slatz for this amazing article. Also, shout out to Women's Liberation Front, or WOLF, Wolf. They are preparing to file a lawsuit against the state of California to contest these transfers. And the ACLU has stepped in, citing that the state of California is not equipped to defend themselves against Wolf. So now they've stepped in to fight Wolf and to basically guarantee that males have the right to self-appoint which housing units they go to, thereby opening the floodgates for predatory males to access their intended prey, which is the most vulnerable women in the Western world. Incarcerated women. We know the vast majority of women who are incarcerated are either incarcerated for nonviolent crimes or they are incarcerated for violent crimes that are defensive crimes. 97% of women's violent acts against men are defensive, are either because of an abusive domestic situation, either an ongoing sustained situation, or even in the moment. So just to know that these women are being re-traumatized, and we already know, we're coming now on the breaking news that Amber Heard was found to be guilty in civil court of defamation of Johnny Depp, despite a plethora of evidence that abuse had been occurring, it's such a tremendous loss. And I want to, another time I do want to go through even my own experiences with the civil courts, and how much I was failed personally in my own experience of domestic abuse with my ex-husband. How even hospital records and police records and an arrest record still is not enough. It's not enough to get protection. It's not enough when you're asking for even the most simple things like restraining orders. So yeah, let's get into this. All right. So this is exclusive. Female inmate reports rape occurred in California women's prison. Again, this is at Redux, and this is an article by Anna Slatz. This was released on May 31st of 2022. A female at the Central California facility for women has come forward with a sworn declaration of having been eyewitness to the aftermath of an alleged sexual assault that took place within the institution. Incarcerated woman Mimi Lee has provided a sworn declaration to lawyers at the Women's Liberation Front to be included in Wolf's case against the state of California. The evidence was given exclusively to Redux for review in advance of Wolf's filing. So let's take a look real quick at the Wolf's filing, just to get a sense of what the crux of their argument is. Of course, this is going to take forever to load. Once that loads, we'll switch over. According to Lee's statement, she was one of many eyewitnesses to the events surrounding what was described as a sexual assault committed by a trans-identified male against a female inmate. Yeah, no, who expected that to happen? Yeah, no, you couldn't possibly have seen that coming from a mile away. There was no way that anyone could have foreseen this, right? There's no way that transferring violent, aggressive males into women's prisons could possibly result in catastrophe. We also know from Swedish studies that men who are trans-identifying males who are incarcerated are, I think are close to 42% have been convicted of some sort of sexual offense at some point in their life, versus 16% of men. And then it's I think 5% of women. So this is a population that is particularly dangerous to women, right? And this is, again, that's not slander. That's based off of science that we have. So here's WLF, Women's Liberation Front. This is a collective of feminist lawyers and activists who are taking direct action against what's happening in California and around this nation And against speaking up for the voiceless. You know, these women don't have a voice, and you need to understand, if anybody's ever supported anybody who's been incarcerated, or if anyone's been incarcerated themselves, you understand that it is so difficult to fight your own case, let alone to fight against systemic abuses while you're incarcerated. Especially post-COVID, they've made it very difficult to have access to communications. You are limited in your phone time. And other than speaking to your own lawyer, all phone calls are recorded and monitored. And we know, and what I know, because again, and I've talked about this before, you know, my boyfriend spent 7 years upstate, and he had gone back for a parole violation, and they'll punish you. They have people that their only job, correctional officers, that their only job is to monitor the phones, and they absolutely will punish you if you are found to be seeking remedy for abuses in the correctional facility. Something about correctional facilities in the United States, and that what a lot of people don't understand, and we need to understand, is they have so much authority over the inmates that are housed there, and they have such broad discretion of what sort of policies that they can implement. And a lot of this stuff, it really is. There's so little remedy. You're able to write a complaint, and there's really no way to follow that through. If you don't have money, if you don't have people on the outside who can serve as sort of an apparatus on the outside to help connect you with people, you're really shit out of luck. So this is, you know, Women's Liberation Front. I wonder if they have, if anybody is able to donate or to support WLF, this is a really good cause, and it's a legitimate cause. It's professional. Again, these are female lawyers. These are people who are really on the ground, making a difference. So let's see. Okay, so this is the case update. So this is California. Case update: crisis conditions in California women's prisons. This is from June 1st, 2022. Male transfer reportedly rapes woman as state seeks dismissal of the civil rights case. So this is related to the article that we're talking about right now. May 31st, 2022. The Women's Liberation Front submitted a brief opposition to the state's motion to dismiss our civil rights case opposing SB 132, which is a California law. It's a bill that, among other things, allows male offenders to seek placement in women's correctional facilities based purely on gender identity claims. The fact that they're seeking just to dismiss it outright is mind-boggling, and we need to hold our state legislators to the fire on this. If this gets dismissed, every single person that follows me or that follows anything related to women's rights or gender critical needs to get on the phone and start making phone calls. And in fact, we should get on the phone making phone calls now. The time is now. It's past now. This is happening. This is already happening. It's been happening. And if we don't win these fights, if we don't stop this now, we are going to see a cultural shift that cannot be undone, or that won't be undone before great damage, great evil, and great harm will have been committed against women. Women are going to suffer. We already have pregnant inmates at Edna Mahone Correctional Facility in Clinton, New Jersey. There are 2 pregnant inmates right now, as I'm speaking, who are sitting in administrative segregation. They are in solitary confinement after being raped and impregnated by state-sanctioned sexual abuse while in prison. An incarcerated woman cannot consent to sex. An incarcerated woman should never be in a position where she is entrapped alone with a violent male offender. And that's exactly what happened. Now we have 4 lives that are going to be ruined. We have 2 women who, again, and it's so sickening to me as somebody who's taking care of pregnant women to imagine pregnant women rotting alone in a solitary confinement cell. It's unconscionable. These children will almost certainly be released immediately to the foster care system with no mother, no early bonding, no breastfeeding, no skin to skin, ripped from her mother's arms. It's unbelievable that this is happening. And it's unbelievable that that this isn't even just like a fringe group of people that are supporting this, but we have actual state legislators and governors and prison wardens and our fucking president of the United States co-signing this. How much do we hate women? How much do we hate women? It's sickening. Jamie Kate Chaos says horror movies have the Buffalo Bill, Norman Bates, violent women hating male crossdresser with mommy issues subgenre for a reason. I know. And it's like, and we know that there is a correlation between cross-dressing and some of these sorts of crimes. We know that. But now all of a sudden, those characters could never exist today. And thank God that they were made. Thank God. Before all of this, political correctness. Because we wouldn't have those archetypes. And they are there for a reason. We know that there is a correlation. All right. So, let's see. Lee explains that on May 19th, a female inmate was taken to a medical administrative building in the facility by staff after other female inmates... Hold on. Oops, sorry. Hold on, I'm going to put this... Let me just change this around real quick. I'm going to make myself smaller in the corner. Okay, here we go. All right, sorry. Just want to try to make this a little more. All right. So I'm not switching back and forth so much. All right. So Lee explains that on May 19th, a female inmate was taken to a medical administrative building in the facility by staff after another female inmate reported that she had been raped. Lee describes personally witnessing the woman as being, quote, barely conscious. And less than 1 hour later, she was taken out of her cell on a stretcher under a Code 3 medical alert, one that signifies an inmate is unresponsive and unable to be revived using immediate methods. Unresponsive and unable to be revived using immediate methods. So this wasn't simply a coercive rape. This wasn't simply that, that she submitted because it's safer to submit than to not. This is a violent aggression. This is a violent perpetration against the body and the life of a woman. She was unable to be immediately revived. She was unresponsive. And one thing I can tell you, and I think I've told this before, my friend who lives with me was in prison, I think in 2017. And she was in jail. So she was held, and she had just gotten there. And I think it was the first or the second night that she was there, and she was on the bottom bunk. And there was a girl on the floor because we have overcrowded prisons. So she was on the bottom bunk. There was a girl on the floor who was sleeping on, they call them boat. They give them these little like things to sleep on when they're overcrowded and they need to fit 3 people into a 2-person cell. And they had somebody on the top. And the girl on the top was going through withdrawal. She was going on, I think, alcohol and benzodiazepine withdrawal, which we know is dangerous. Anybody who is familiar with these sort of addictions or withdrawal, that alcohol and benzodiazepine withdrawal can result in very severe seizures. The woman on the top bunk started shaking. She told me, she said she started shaking the bed, and I like checked her and I was like, yo, what are you doing? Stop shaking the bed. Like, stop, you're moving like crazy. And she said, and she was about to stand up and be like, yo, I said, stop moving the bed. When all of a sudden the woman fell out of the bed, and she said she literally like almost tried to catch her, like just reactively tried to catch her. And this woman fell in a way and immediately went limp and wasn't moving. And they tried asking, they're like, yo, are you okay? Like, what happened? Didn't respond. They got on the gate and started screaming for help and said, yo, our cellie just fell. Can we get some help? I think she needs medical. And they were like, yeah, okay, we'll be there in a little bit. She said they sat there for an hour and waited for somebody to come by. Somebody came by and they looked at it, and and she realized that the woman was dead. And they said, all right, we'll have somebody come by. She said she waited for 3 hours with a dead body laying on the floor of her cell while they're traumatized. They've been in there for 2 days on like some petty stuff. They put a withdrawing from known substances. These are known substances to cause seizures. We know that this causes seizing. We know that. You are never supposed to put somebody who is withdrawing from these sort of substances on a top bunk. They did it anyway. She fell off and she broke her neck and she died instantly. And I had 2 girls in there sleeping with a dead body in the room. And they just kind of scuffled by and they're like, oh, we'll deal with it. She said it was the most sickening experience of her life. She was terrified. They like tried to go and like rouse her. And she said it was the most sickening thing that's ever happened to me, touching her and realizing almost immediately that she was dead. And she was like, it gave me like the heebie-jeebies. And she was like, oh my God. And like her and the other girl were just like shaken. So I can only imagine. And again, and here's the thing. There's no headlines about that. That wasn't in the news. That sort of stuff happens in prisons all the time. The sort of things that go down in prisons. Women are the fastest growing population or fastest growing demographic in the prison population. Prison population makes a lot of money, and I think a lot of people don't understand how much money these people make or how much money it is that it makes money to imprison people. It's like, oh, wouldn't it cost money? It costs you money. It costs me money. It costs tax dollars money. Every single body that's held in state prison makes the state $60,000 to $75,000 a year. More if they have mental illness. I'm sure it's probably even more if you're trans and have special needs. They make money. They realize that women are an untapped source of cheap prison labor, for one, because again, a lot of industries depend on prison labor, because with the 14th or the 13th Amendment freed everybody, and it freed all the slaves with one caveat and one exception. The only modern slave class that still remains to this day is the prison population. The prison industrial complex is an industry, and it's dealing in human beings. This is human trafficking. when we give women, when we give predatory men access to vulnerable women, that is state-sanctioned sex trafficking. These women are being sex trafficked to men. And the state is making money off of doing it. They are making money by these activist groups. They are making a lot of money to change these policies. Don't think for a second that this isn't about money. Don't think for a second that if there was not money involved, this wouldn't be happening. The state is making money over changing these policies. There are a lot of groups that are pushing for this, and they are funding a lot of money. They are campaigning, they are fundraising, and this is state-sanctioned sex abuse, state-sanctioned human trafficking, state-sanctioned sex trafficking. That's where we're at. That's what we're up against. That's how real this is. Hold on, I want to put this on. Let me put it on live chat because I think okay. So the next day, so this is after they did the level 3 alert. The next day, Lee says she was told by multiple inmates that the woman had been sexually assaulted by Jonathan Robertson, also known as Siyaah Skylit. Robertson was previously the subject of widespread trans activist campaigns, attempting to relocate him from a male facility to the women's institution he is now in. In 2021, Pink News, which is supposedly a feminist outlet, boosted a petition demanding to have Robertson freed from prison. Let's take a look at this feminist campaign by Pink News, a feminist outlet, shall we? Pink News, the defenders of women and champion of women's rights, right? Right? No, wrong. You are a men's rights organization. Pink News is a men's rights organization. Make no mistake. Make no mistake. Let's see. Trans woman. Let's see. Sorry. Trans woman locked up in men's prison, victim of brutal, senseless violence from prison staff and inmates alike. Let's be clear, okay? The type of man that is going to lie and push and coerce and to create an entire identity that is fraudulent, that he is going to say that he is not the sex that he is. He's going to take on a whole new name, take on a whole new persona, demand that other people play along. You know, this guy has taken every avenue available to him to write letters and to just poke and push and prod and demand. These are predatory men. These are the type of men who will go the distance to access their intended prey. You need to understand that. So I just was talking to Anna Slatz literally just before I jumped on this live stream, and we were discussing it's the thing about California trying to get the criminal docket sheets, meaning like the court records, the arrest records, the convictions, all of that sort of stuff, all of the court proceedings. And in Pennsylvania, it's very easy. They make all that stuff readily available to the public unless it's been sealed or expunged. In California, you need to go and contact like the individual court. There's not an online database unless you're like either a lawyer or a paralegal. Then you have special access to certain databases. It's very difficult. So Anna Slatz was unable to confirm as of right now whether or not this Jonathan Robertson is the same person who is currently incarcerated since 2015 for murdering 2 women. And because, you know, they are like legitimate journalists and they have to uphold, you know, certain journalistic integrity, she can't speculate that it's him. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's him. If I'm wrong, I'll correct it later. But I do know how to find, like, track inmates and stuff like that, just from, like, my boyfriend. But I can tell you there is no other Jonathan Robertson incarcerated in California right now. This is him. This man murdered 2 other women. This is an extremely dangerous predator. An extremely dangerous predator. He has a 75-year sentence. And from the beginning, he was already trying to get the sentence overturned. If you have life in prison, why wouldn't you want to access women? Women are cleaner, calmer, more relaxed, and they're his sexual target. Why wouldn't he try? Why wouldn't he try? It seems like he's already filed a bunch of motions related to his case. He does a lot of stuff pro se. He learned the system. Why wouldn't he? So let's take a look at Pink News. Hey, Mishante. God damn it. Hold on. You say it so well, Mech. I'm gonna try it. Mishante. I'm not even going to. I've literally practiced your name. I practice it. And I can sometimes do it, but now I'm on the spot and then I get nervous and I can't. So I'm just going to keep calling you Mech. What's up, guys? Hey, Ella. Let's see. Trans woman locked in men's prison, victim of brutal, senseless violence from prison staff and inmates alike. Why is it that they all have the exact same story? It's really interesting. And listen, to be clear, this is not a small little guy, right? My account has been locked. Oh God, oh wow. So within the past 5 seconds, my account has been locked. That's cool. Oh no, that's my other one. Anyway, I wanted to show I could show it. I wanted to show the conversation that I was having with Anna Slats and what she was able to confirm. So, all right. So this is his complaint of discrimination under the provisions of the California Fair Employment Okay, so this is what he looks like, first of all. Does this look like a petite little, princessy guy? Does this look like... You got to understand, there's an assumption, I think, that trans-identifying males are somehow naturally more petite. The point is that they identify as women. They aren't actually women. There's this sort of false equivalency, this idea that just because they have a trans identity, that they're somehow more dainty and petite and vulnerable. All men are vulnerable in prison. You want to get to the root of the problem? Men's prisons are just dangerous, period. You think that guy looks like he can't hold his own in a men's prison? You really think? My boyfriend, who I said did 7 years upstate, my boyfriend's a hardcore person. I've talked about him before. I don't want to hear any bullshit. People have dragged me about it. I don't give a shit, okay? He's really good person in my life. But he's from the street. He's a really big person. And he even understands. He's when you're in prison, you have to it's very much, you've got to know how to move. You just have to. You have to, and it goes for everybody. And I was asking him when I was talking to him about this, and he was first of all, he goes, a lot of the gay guys in there, you don't fuck with them. He goes, they might be doing all the effeminate stuff and the gender nonconformity, but he said people know not to fuck with a lot of the gay men upstate. He said, because just because they're acting girly and they call each other sis and they got makeup doesn't mean they won't turn around and stab you the fuck up. Doesn't mean they won't turn around and kick your ass. He goes, a lot of the gay men are no joke. They're just as big as anybody else, and they're just as they're just as with the shits. So them being gay or effeminate or wanting to perform femininity has nothing to do with their ability to defend themselves against other men. Heterosexuality doesn't somehow make you stronger or have more testosterone. That's not how that works. So Meg says, I've heard so much weird stuff about homosexual transsexuals being more petite and passable, like they're physically different. No, literally, somebody on one of my videos literally said that he said that shapeshifter was never a real trans and was never a real homosexual transsexuals, because all homosexual transsexuals, and get this, are passed from day one. And they pass from the very beginning onward with lovers at work and with everybody around them. That's how you can tell if someone's a real homosexual transsexual. I was like, first of all, shapeshifter probably passed to a lot of people. But what the hell kind of what are you talking about? They're males. There's no correlation between them being small statured or having less testosterone. And a lot of these men are not on hormone replacement while they're locked up. So what the hell are you talking about? I guess homosexual transsexuals are less of a threat to women, though, since they don't want to have sex with women. They can still beat you up. Homosexual transsexuals, though, are more rare. And a lot of people who are classified as homosexual transsexuals, I believe, are still actually AGP. Because we know that AGPs are also bisexual. Like, true homosexual transsexuals, I think, are very rare. And I don't think that they're the ones clamoring to get transfers, to be honest. It's the AGPs who are looking to access their sexual target of choice. A lot of the homosexual transsexuals will engage in sort of like just sort of like a sex economy while they're in prison. You know, I've talked to a few and I've listened to a lot of different interviews where it's like they have boyfriends and they kind of like use their sexuality to like get what they need and to get around and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, it's dangerous and it can be drama and stuff like that, but it's not always like a violent thing. He's like, yeah, sometimes there's coercion and it's annoying and it's drama, but it doesn't mean that it's necessarily being like held down and beaten up and that sort of thing. Make no mistake, these are AGPs who are looking for transfer to women's prisons. So this guy, again, so this little petite princess right here who's just so afraid, so unable to defend himself. So, you know, pink news. And oh, look at the picture that they did. Look at this picture, okay? Look at this picture. Oh, okay, yeah, he looks so nice. And then, come on, bro. Come on. Oh, look at him. He's got the makeup and the eyeshadow, and then bam. Stop it. Like, they try to make him look, that man looks terrifying. He doesn't look all sweet. He's got like a fade. He's all like, he's got like a, how are you transsexual and you got a whole fade? You got a shape up. You got a whole ass shape up. Come on, bro. Like, come on. Yeah, and of course, it's only once they get locked up that, oh, suddenly I'm feeling pretty dysphoric. Siyaah Skylit, a trans woman incarcerated. This is from Pink News, which is really a men's rights organization LARPing as a feminist publication. A trans woman incarcerated in a California men's prison is seeking clemency. Clemency! He's seeking, oh my God. He's not even seeking like leniency or trans. He's seeking clemency. Clemency. Clemency is basically like an outright like dismissal of your conviction, like a vacation of your conviction. Like, he wants to have no conviction. He wants to return to the streets, have no criminal record. He's not even asking for like an augmentation in his incarceration status or whatever his sentence is. He's seeking clemency. For what, sir? What have you changed? You've been in there. You literally just murdered 2 women in 2015, 7 years ago. Clemency for what? And you have this Pink News that is enabling this. How dare you call yourself a feminist publication? How dare you? No, real shit. How dare you people? It's supposed to be LGBT. Oh, whatever. Fuck them anyway. Whatever. It's supposed to be LGBT. Okay, well, fuck them anyway. They suck. So Skylit is behind bars at Kern Valley. LGBT now means men and only men. Useless strawberry. You are absolutely right, my dear. You are not useless strawberry. You are a very helpful strawberry, because that is an accurate statement. Ryan Pennington says, I've met are dudes pretending to be lesbians, but also, quote, asexual. As in, you can trust me. I don't even like sex. Oh, I know. You ever meet the asexuals who are like, I have sex, but I just don't feel the need to, but I still do. And they have the weird, just mental gymnastics. Like, I feel like I'm repeating myself so much, and I try to like use different terms, like, but mental gymnastics is the correct term. It's mental gymnastics. Like, I say the same shit all the time, but it's like, why are we still, like, I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone with this sort of stuff. Ella says, pardon, what the fuck? What? No, wait, what are we talking about that's messed up? Mech. Oh, let's see. What did you say, Mech, that everyone's responding to? Anyway. And he says it's just about the T. They don't care about the LG or the B at all. They pretend to care about G, sort of care about L, and no resources for B at all whatsoever. They definitely don't care about the L. And nobody's ever cared about the B. I mean, let's be honest. But, like, definitely no resources for the L. And G kind of can, like, hold their own. Because, let's be honest, trans men are not exactly, like, overpowering gay men. All right. So he was originally behind bars at Kern Valley State Prison in Delano, California, where, according to an online petition, she has been a victim of multiple acts of brutal, senseless violence, both at the hands of prison staff and others in custody. Yeah, no, I bet this, like, you know, huge man really is just, you know, he's a prime target. Really. The petition has more than 5,000 signatures at the time of writing. It was launched by the Transgender Advocacy Group, calling for Governor Gavin Newsom, he's the worst, and the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitations, the CDCR, to release Skylit. To release him. They want him to go home. Come on. For what? She has reportedly requested to be transferred to a women's facility several times, but the CDCR has denied her request. She has been transferred to 6 different institutions since 2017, all which are men's prisons. If he has been transferred around to different prisons, you know why that happens? You transfer to different prisons when you are getting in trouble. So when you have a bunch of infractions, when you are found to be having sexual contact with other inmates, when you are fighting, when you keep going to the hole, when you keep having issues, that's the only reason that they're going to transfer you around. Otherwise, it'll be like if they just need to consolidate and they need like bed spaces or something, right? And they need to just like, and you're about to leave, and so they can, you know, send you to like a lower security unit. But if he's moving around that often, that means he was a problem. It means he was a problem. And now he's using this transgender identity as a shield to divert attention away. And you know what's funny? In all of these petitions and stuff, they never mention once what he's there for. Oh, we don't want to talk about that. Like Ixnay on the Erdermay. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm not going to bring that one up. Yeah, so I can't even. Siyaah stated that the activist, and another thing that is so wrong, that these publications won't put the person's real name, so that of course nobody can actually look up like anything from their past. It's all about changing and racing and running from culpability and responsibility. When you keep your real name, that means you have to keep your past attached to you. And these people want to erase that. And the fact that we're enabling it and that we're supporting it and allowing it, it's so wrong. So let's look at, so these are his complaints that he had originally Oops, hold on. So these are the these are the complaints that he had originally filed. Let's see. All right, I'm just going to have to, sorry guys, I'm going to have to cover up the chat for a minute because I want you guys to be able to see this. So, all right, this is a complaint of discrimination under the provisions of the California Fair Employment and Housing Act. Complainant Jonathan Robertson, aka Siyaah Skylit. I don't know why. Well, I guess it's an AKA. It's an alias, and they actually do normally do that. So again, this is in Sacramento, California. And he was originally housed at Kern State Prison. All right, let's take a look. All right, it says, so this is what he wrote. So again, when inmates write this, they're usually given like the complaint paper and like a pen, and then they'll write their complaint. And then they send it in. And for most normal people, really nothing gets done by it. It says, I am Siyaah Skylit, a transgender woman who is incarcerated at Kern Valley State Prison, a men's prison, where you belong, sir. My legal name is Jonathan Robertson, and my California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation number is AY5276, which is not what it is anymore. He got a whole, every time, and that's another thing to remember, every single time that they transfer these men to a women's prison, not only are they transferring them to a women's prison, they give them a whole new state number, which again makes it a lot harder to follow his criminal history and his history while incarcerated. It's hard to follow. Well, where were you kicked out from? Where did you have behavioral issues and infractions and write-ups? So a lot of this is just about covering up past information on multiple occasions, most recently in March 2019. So this was written on June 19, 2019. And I alleged that I experienced discrimination because of my actual or perceived gender identity or expression, sex, and gender. As a result, I was subjected to, denied equal access to a state-funded program, denied equal terms and conditions. I requested a transfer to a women's facility. Since 2017, I have been transferred to 6 different institutions, but not a women's prison. Yeah, sir. That's what happens. That's what happens when you murder people, sir. What were you thinking this was going to be? What did you think that? And again, and now that they're learning, if I'm have these hardcore convictions and these long state sentences, if I claim transgender, I can get free medical, I can get special, access, special privileges. Who wouldn't do this? The continuing denial of my request for appropriate housing denies me equal benefits of a state-funded program and denied me equal terms and conditions in housing because it places me at a higher risk of being assaulted than the risk faced by inmates housed in facilities that are congruent with their gender identity. Don't you understand? These men are given a blueprint. They are given a blueprint of what to say, how to achieve these things, how to go about this. They are given what to say. They know what to say happened. It's always the same exact complaint. It's the same story. They know exactly what. He is in no way in any more risk. In no way. And he's in no way more risk than like a petite inmate or a homosexual inmate. He doesn't look like a woman. No, look, for fuck's sake, you guys. No one is looking at this guy and being like, oh, yeah, hey, man, if I'm locked up, might not be the real thing, but it's damn close. What? No, sir. You can't even tell that you're what? You're not even performing femininity. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand. You're not at risk for pregnancy. You're not smaller. You're not attractive to anybody. Guys, I can't. Mandy says there is an Australian show called Wentworth, like Orange is the New Black, where a trans woman is used as the muscle. No mention of his sexuality though, which is a bit sus. Also, does anyone remember Laverne Cox in Orange is the New Black? And first of all, of course, Laverne Cox was such a likable character. So when people think of these trans-identifying inmates, they're thinking of someone like Laverne Cox. And again, in Orange is the New Black, Laverne Cox had bottom surgery. So everyone's thinking of a Laverne Cox. Oh, she's really just one of the girls. Had bottom surgery, on hormones, looks effeminate. Docile night. First of all, Laverne Cox was like 6'5" too. He's huge. But still, like, oh, just because he's big, he's so nice. And that's what these, like, I really hate that Orange is the New Black. I actually really like that show, but like now that I'm getting into this activism, I hate that his character ever existed because it created this sort of prototype, this ideal of what we think of when we're thinking of these trans identifying males. We're like, oh, it's just like, Orange is the New Black. Let's see. Mandy says, I worked with someone whose kid worked in a women's prison. She said it was fine to have trans women in there because the women are so tough. That's so sad. That's so sad. Women, oh my God. That's sad. And that's not, no, it does. I don't care how tough somebody is. It's kind of like these, like, yeah, no, I don't, it doesn't make a difference. It's like, I know a lot of butch lesbians who like give off like a real hardcore persona, and they even like are hardcore, and I'm more feminine, but I would like whoop their ass because I'm a big girl. I'm big and I'm strong just because I don't present as like masculine or whatever. And it's like you could be as, loud and aggressive and with the shits as you want to be. But if you're not built for it, you're not built for it. And there's very little that you can do to overcome that. All right, so let's get back to the original. Oh, God. Here we go. Okay. So this is Redux's, Anna Slatz's article. Let me just make this smaller. Let's see. So, all right. The next day, Lee was told by multiple inmates that the woman had been sexually assaulted by Jonathan Robertson, known as Siyaah Skylit. It's always some dumb name too. Some like stripper name that they made up. Robertson was previously the subject of widespread trans activist campaigns attempting to relocate him from a male facility to a women's institution. Actually, they were looking for clemency. Yeah, exactly. Or like she said, Pink News boosted a petition demanding to have him freed from prison. Come on. In her testimony, Lee goes on to state that as a representative of the Inmates Advisory Council, so I guess she's part of like a inmate council that advocates for the needs of other women, she attempted to establish contact with correctional staff in an attempt to clarify details about the alleged assault. While walking to the administrative program building, she witnessed Robertson being taken in handcuffs and learned quickly that it was because he had launched into a violent tirade against women. Robertson is said to have spit at some female inmates, and multiple inmates have confirmed that he shouted, "Fuck all you bitches, I'll rape you. I'll rape your mama, I'll fuck all you bitches up. There's nothing you bitches can do." Hey, ACLU, are you listening? Are you people listening? Did you hear all of that? He ended the lives of 2 women. This is becoming a pattern. This is becoming a pattern with these trans-identified males. The last one that I did, the Not Our Crimes, had murdered 3 women and was sent to a women's prison. How dare you? Let's read that again, just in case you missed it. Just in case you missed it. Robertson it was confirmed by multiple witnesses that a handcuffed Robertson said he spit on the women and said, "Fuck all you bitches. I'll rape you. I'll rape your mama. I'll fuck all you bitches up. There's nothing you bitches can do." Does this sound like something a woman would say? Or does this sound like something that a fraudulent scam artist, dangerous, murderous, psychopathic predator would say? I just don't even understand. I don't even understand. Grammar says that Mandy, my mother-in-law works in a homeless shelter for people with addictions. They don't separate trans women from females because it's, quote, it's the least of their worries. It's so scary for the women. The least of their worries? Oh yeah, being raped and impregnated. Having children without consent. Having abortions without consent. Where are we? Where are we? This is hell. We're in hell. We're in hell. And I just had, and for the record, since we're far enough in the stream and I can say it at this point, I just had one of my videos removed on Leah Thomas for hate speech. They are doing everything to silence us. Everything. I would love to get off this topic. I would love to move on to some of the original topics that I wanted to deal with. But we need all hands on deck at this point. Fighting this trans stuff. Like, we need to be all in. You guys, if we don't stand up to this, we've got to start getting like public with this. I know a lot of people are afraid to show their faces or to co-sign this or to put their names on this because of the backlash, and I understand that. I do. I swear to God, I do. I have kids. I know that sometimes we have to make, decisions. We've got to protect ourselves, protect our families. But for those who can, and if your only concern is about losing some of your friends from high school or losing some, social clout or capital, please, God, really meditate. Really meditate about what's important right now. Because the more that we can show a growing backlash, growing solidarity, growing outrage against what the hell is going on, the better shot we're going to have to make sure that we can secure a future for our daughters. So that we can secure a future for our children. Shit, I got to take this. Let's see. Here we go. All right. Okay. I'm guessing we're still on. Okay. I hope we are. I hope. Oh, it's on top chat. Let me do live chat. Maybe that's why. Can anyone? Okay. Guys, do you hear me? Am I on? Is it on? Are we on? Okay. I'm just going to assume yes. And then if no one answers after a while, I'll assume that maybe not. Okay, so, okay, good. All right, thanks, Ryan. That's all I needed. I just didn't know if it was a replay of the, sorry about that. I had to take a call. All right, let's just get back into this. So, all right, thanks, Mac. This was okay, Lee describes the fear and upset that all right, so I'm going to read it one more time, just because we need to read it one more time. Robertson is said to have spit at some females, and multiple inmates have confirmed that he shouted, "Fuck all you bitches. I'll rape you. I'll rape your mama. I'll fuck all you bitches up. And there is nothing you bitches can do," end quote. So this is what a large, murderous, femicidal maniac yelled at a bunch of terrified women after he raped somebody unconscious. And this is state sanctioned. Lee describes the fear and upset that quickly spread through the women after the man's threat and how she attempted to calm the other inmates down. And let's just take a minute to just recognize what a hero this woman is for speaking out, because I can assure you, and let me be very clear, women can and do face backlash for speaking to the media about prison conditions. It is very possible that she could wind up in the hole. I think if anybody, I'll try to post her. I want to post her information. Maybe we can like write letters to her or put money on her books or something, because she is taking a huge risk to speak out about this. She's taking a huge risk. And so this sort of bravery needs to be recognized, and we need to show her that she's not alone, that she's supported, that we hear her, that there are people on the outside that care, because I think it's so hard to really understand just how hopeless it feels when you're locked up and it feels like no one can hear you screaming, no one is going to come and rescue you from this hell that you're in. So yeah, it's scary. Lee, let's see. All right. So like I said, quote, "This was very triggering and saddening for everyone to be threatened by a man with doing a thing that he can do, that he is capable of doing, that he may already have done to other women is terrifying," Lee writes in her declaration. "They were concerned and discussed how to protect themselves. I convinced them to just go to their rooms while I asked for an update from the captain to figure out how to proceed." They've got to sit and come together and worry about how to protect themselves. And let one of them kill one of these trans-identifying males while they're locked up. You already know that they are going to be thrown under the prison, never to see daylight again. And yet, that would be blood on the hands of the state. But what's more likely to happen is that one of them will die. Women shouldn't have to worry about being raped and impregnated. And these women don't have access to birth control. They don't have access to birth control. They're not going to have access to HIV prophylaxis. And not even to mention, that's not a small thing. Okay? Do you know 40% of trans-identifying males in Philadelphia have HIV? 40%. So these women are not just at risk for pregnancy or being harmed. They're at risk for STDs, life-ending STDs, serious STDs. We also know that the trans-identifying male, prison population or inmate population has a history of deviant sexuality, deviant sexual behavior. It's just a fact. And men who are coming from a male inmate, again, one of the number one easiest way to spread blood-borne sexually transmitted viruses is through anal sex. Anal sex is the fastest way, except, to sexually transmit HIV. These women's lives are at risk on so many levels. The HIV rates are astounding, and that even deserves its own video. It's astounding. And these aren't just something that I'm coming up with from some like feminist group. The CDC, this is a CDC release, and this was from 2021, or no, it was from early 2022. It was either from late 2021 or early 2022 that talked about trans-identifying males in cities, in big cities, and included Philadelphia, particularly of Black and Hispanic descent, have upwards of a 40% HIV infection rate in that population. These women clearly don't have access to contraception. They don't have access to condoms. They have no way to protect themselves. Useless Strawberry says prison medical care is garbage. It's worse than garbage. It's worse than garbage. They will drag their feet. And again, you have to understand that, inmates are not allowed to use their own insurance. So they're on some like really shitty prison insurance, and they will do everything in their power to not pay. Yet we've already had, by the way, an FYI, they just paid for their first, the state, I've got to look up which state it is. just approved the first transgender gender confirmation surgery or sex reassignment surgery, or as I like to call it, sex simulation surgery for a federal inmate. So what has been going on with the NHS over in Britain and the UK is now happening here in the US. Because one thing in the US traditionally just doesn't like to pay for shit, right? But I guess they're getting enough money from these trans lobbyists that I guess it's now worth it to pay for these sex simulation surgeries. Because again, sex reassignment surgery is a misnomer. You cannot reassign your sex. So Lee says, Mandy says, and in the U.S., you don't have universal health care. Who is going to pay for the lifelong medication for these women? Who's going to cope with this heavy medical burden? Exactly. And we know that HIV antivirals are enormously expensive. And who's going to pay for the lifelong trans medication? Once we, give these, once we castrate these men and they need to be on lifelong, hormone replacement, lifelong drugs, lifelong revision surgeries. We already know that with SRS comes with like insane revision surgeries and all. And when does it end? When are they affirmed enough? What, once they just pop in some tits? Oh, but then they need the bottom surgery. Oh, but then they need the face feminization. Oh, but then they need the estradiol. They need the laser hair removal. Laser hair removal and face feminization are covered by Medicaid in a lot of states, including Washington. We are going to pay the taxpayers, said Lady Studio One. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we're going to pay for all the lawsuits. We're paying for everything. It all gets passed back to us. And yet we have no say. We don't get to say anything. We don't get to speak out about it. We're called hateful bigots. We're bound and we're gagged and we're silenced. Now is the time. There is no more room for staying neutral. There's no more time for staying silent. Now is the time to speak up. Lee says that she approached correctional staff to understand what would be done about Robertson's threats and behaviors towards women. Oh, I already know. They don't like dealing with this sort of stuff. By that time, he had already been released back onto the yard. How do you get released back to the yard after making rape threats? In any other scenario, that person would have immediately been sent to administrative segregation in the segregated housing unit. He got sent out back to the yard? He should have been that day removed. In any other situation, if this were a male prison and two male inmates got into a fight, okay, and I can only speak for male prisons and stuff like that because all the women that I've ever known who have been incarcerated just did these very short stints in county jail. But I have a lot of understanding of how it works upstate in men's prisons because of my proximity to my boyfriend, right? And if you get in a fight as a man, both of you, it doesn't matter if one person was defending themselves against the other person, nothing about what happened, who started it, how did it go down, whose fault it was, someone was just protected. It doesn't matter if you were just trying to save your own life. You're both going to the hole, and chances are, if it was bad enough, one of you is getting transferred to another prison. End of story. And not just to the hole for a couple of days. You'll be down there for 6 months. They'll have you in solitary confinement. So they had as code 3 that he raped a woman unconscious, that she was unresponsive and did not respond to immediate attempts to revive her, had to be, taken immediately to medical, then in front of a whole group of women is spitting. First of all, spitting is taken very seriously in state prison. Spitting, because it's called like a bio threat or like a bio assault. Spitting, they throw pee on each other. They'll like piss in a bottle. This is stuff that men do. And they do it a lot. These aren't just like fringe cases. This is like common like prison warfare type shit. Because if you can't get to somebody to stab them up, they'll piss in bottles and they'll throw that at each other. They also throw it at at correctional officers. They'll poop in shampoo bottles and then squeeze it. They'll like mix it up with water and like urine and feces and make it liquidy, and they'll squeeze it in your face and people will like, spit in it. You do that kind of stuff, you're getting so written up, and sometimes you'll get charges filed on you. So he was allowed to spit at women because they already know. And you know what the problem is? They are given so many problems from so many groups who are so vocal about it. And there's so much backing from starting at President Joe Biden all the way down to, Greg Newsom and governors and the warden and every other political actor. Because again, these are politicians. Their only interest is to stay in office and to get votes and to get money. They're getting money from them? Cool. And these jail wardens and jail administrators don't want any more problems. They don't want another lawsuit. They are also so afraid of being sued for discrimination. So afraid. Do you know that women are getting additional charges for misgendering these trans-identifying males? Everybody's walking on eggshells so that some paraphilic male can engage with his fetish and have access to his sexual target. We're in hell, guys. We're in hell. And he was sent right back out to the yard. Unfucking believable. Lady Studio says, I've seen so many women on Twitter defending these guys and calling the victims Redux, J.K. Rowling, etc. liars and accusing them of spreading trans hate. I just don't understand what happened to me too. Yeah, what happened to me too? I want to know that too. Liberals are, I can't anymore. These leftist liberal thugs, they're thugs. They're abusers. They're a cult. What is going on? By the time he had been released back onto the yard, but once the captain learned of the rape threats, he decided along with a sergeant to move him to administrative. Okay, so after that, they moved him to ASAG. But before they could do that, the warden overruled them. But before they could do that, the warden overruled them, saying that an inmate to inmate threat is not an offense sufficient. Well, what about raping somebody unconscious, sir? What? An inmate to inmate threat is... I can't anymore, you guys. I can't. I can't. Where are we? Who is supporting this? Where are we? Where are we? We're in hell. This is hell. He isn't. There's a Tim who is publicly backtracking saying trans women shouldn't be in women's prisons. There's a few. Useless Strawberry. Name of the warden. Never forget. Yeah. If somebody in the stream can go on right now and look at Central California women's prisons, find the name of that warden and post it in the chat. I want to blast him. Good idea, Useless Strawberry. If anybody in the chat can find the name of who is the current acting warden of Central California Women's Correctional Facility. Meg said, this is so disgusting and upsetting. I'm so tired of the situation with women legally in this country now. This is state-sanctioned sexual abuse of women. This is state-sanctioned sex trafficking of women. the warden overruled him. If somebody can find that name of the warden, I would be very grateful. Also, I'm gonna look up if anyone even during the stream can find the like, I guess, address for the, what's her name, the Lee woman. So we should really try to send her some letters. I want to get like a call for a group of people who can try to write letters to her. Mimi Lee of Central Women's Central California Women's Prison. Mimi Lee. If someone can't find it right now, you can go on Inmate Locator. I could do it. I just don't want to interrupt the stream. Oh, here it is. But I'll put, if we can't get it right now, I'll post it on my community tab. And I would love for people to write her letters, and please, 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 like, let me know if you did, and I'll shout you out. Jesus Christ. Men, let's see. 2 days later, Lee says she and a number of other female inmates were told they had been placed on what is known as a confidential, a list of inmates whose immediate safety was threatened as a result of the incident. I don't get that. Who are told they've been placed on what is known. Okay. Men get to transfer to women's prison because the prison fails to keep them safe from rape by other men in men's prisons. I also, I don't think that some of these men are that at risk for rape. I think some are. I especially think some, like, the real, like, feminine ones. But no, I don't know that they really ever were in danger. They just now know that there's an avenue to get to their sexual target, and they're taking it. And to get special privileges, and to have it easier. And it's, it's not as crazy in a women's prison. It's not as crowded. But now the prison is protecting them by getting them out of men's prison, only to let them terrorize women with rape and violence threats, Lee wrote in her statement. Disturbingly, just after the rape threats were issued, Robertson was quickly and quietly moved to the California Institution for Women, a lower security women's correctional facility in the state. These people need to be held accountable. We need to start. I'm going to make phone calls because these people need to be held accountable. This isn't okay. Speaking to Redux on Lee's testimony, WLLF Wolf Executive Director Mari Irvine expressed disappointment at the lack of protections incarcerated women are being afforded since SB 132 came into effect. We need to protest that bill. Quote, we are deeply saddened and disturbed by the reported rape at CCWF and by the reported actions of prison administrators who have obviously failed in their duties to protect female inmates. Yeah, these people are not fit. They're unfit. Irvine's team at Wolf launched a lawsuit against the state of California in 2021, representing 4 female inmates who all stated that they had been victimized by trans-identified male transfers. The named plaintiffs in the case are Janine Chandler, Crystal Gonzalez, Tamika Johnson. Tamika Johnson's story is really sad. All of them are, but that's the one that I know the most about. And Nadia Romero. Romero and Chandler are both opposing the law on the premise of religious objection, one of the women being a devout Muslim. Johnson, a survivor of domestic violence, was imprisoned after murdering her abuser, says she had been placed in a cell with a, quote, vicious, dangerous biological male inmate. But perhaps most shockingly, plaintiff Gonzalez describes that she had been sexually assaulted by a male inmate who had been transferred to her facility after SB 132 was introduced. Irvine says Wolf has been sounding the alarm about how vulnerable incarcerated women are, continuing as the months pass by. More and more sexual assaults are being reported in prisons across the country. Predatory male inmates are targeting vulnerable women, and women's fears are disregarded by prison officials. According to Irvine, prison administrators in California are routinely failing to prevent sexual violence in prison and also failing to implement trauma-informed responses to sexual assault reports. That's the thing. It's like all of a sudden we have a women's prison population that's just exploding in the US, and we absolutely are not equipped to meet their needs. I remember Hakeem was telling me that even in like the county jail before he was transferred upstate, He said that he would always hear stories of like the women's wing. Sometimes men have to go there to like for work purposes, like maintenance or whatever. Some of the inmates who are on like certain like staff, and said that he was like, it smells really bad over there because they're not given sanitary supplies during menstruation, so they're just bleeding on themselves. Women after childbirth aren't given supplies. They have to like rip up their shirts and try to make their own pads. They're given like one pad. You have to spend a lot of money on commissary for tampons and things like that. They don't take out the trash. These women, these women have unique needs that aren't being met. A lot of these women are incredibly traumatized. They're addicted. They're mothers. They're separated from their children. How is this making society safer? The prison industrial complex makes so much money. And when we're in a society now where we're now targeting our women to tap them for more money and income, women who have defended themselves against abusers, largely women, we know that the vast majority of Americans living in poverty are women. And the vast majority of crimes that women can commit that land them in prison are like fraud crimes to support their families. The vast majority of children in this country are being cared for by only women. And women are living in poverty, and women are doing desperate things to care for their families, to care for themselves. We have an addiction problem that was spurned by a selfish, negligent medical system that was just dumping pills onto people. And people are still living the fallout of that. It's awful. It's awful. The courts don't give a fuck about women that defend themselves at all. They'll declare them abusers publicly. Meg, I really want to talk about my experience with trying to get a restraining order against my ex-husband. It was the most humiliating, degrading, mind-boggling position I've ever been in my life. And I have resources, and I have an education, and I have access to support. And I was like, it really put in perspective what women go through to protect themselves and their children, and how we're failed at every single level. And when we actually take matters into our own hands, then we're thrown in prison. Leisha said, is there any setting where we can post links, or is that just a YouTube thing? I think you can post links in the chat. Cupcake holes, thank you. Mandy, even my own father loves hating Amber. He says it's her fault people won't believe women now. I responded that it doesn't matter since people don't believe women before anyway. Yeah, Amber's just another example of we don't believe women, and if someone can be real charming on the stand. It's so bleak. This is just sad. We're in a bad state, you guys. This is bad. All right, let's just, I gotta go soon, so let me just finish this up. How many more rapes must these women endure? How many more? Okay, well, according to Irvine, prison administrators in California are routinely failing to prevent sexual violence in prison and also failing to implement trauma-informed responses to sexual assault reports. Quote, how many more rapes must these women endure before prison administrators and state legislators will be held accountable for their abject failure to protect female inmates from predatory men? End quote. While trans activists often claim that trans-identified males are particularly vulnerable in the prison system, records consistently show that they are disproportionately represented amongst those convicted of sexual crimes. According to the Bureau of Prisons, almost 50% of trans-identified male inmates have been convicted of a sexual offense, but we never hear about that one, do we? And if you say that loudly and say it too in the wrong spot, you'll get deplatformed, silent. What are they so afraid of? Why are they so afraid of the truth? What is the end game here? What is the real driving motivation for all of this? I don't get it. In California's prison, this is just 11. This is compared to just 11% of the non-trans identified male inmate population. It's crazy. In California's prisons, I mean, yeah, when you think about it, it sounds pretty logical that men who openly and publicly engage with a sexual paraphilia, a paraphilic sexual disorder, and force it onto other people probably would be more likely to be a sexual predator or a sex offender. Yeah, no, that sounds pretty logical to me. Sounds pretty logical. In California's prisons, 33.8% of trans-identified male inmates are registered sex offenders, with the Bureau of Prisons confirming that the incarcerated sex offender population is responsible for up to 50% of rapes that occur within the prison system. Redux is a newly launched independent source of pro-woman, pro-child safeguarding news and commentary. We are 100% reader-funded. Support our mission by joining our Patreon or considering making a one-time donation. Guys, please go donate to Redux. They're doing a lot of work, and I've talked to both of these women. I've been in contact with Genevieve Gluck and Anna Slatz, and they're really on the ground doing really cutting-edge journalism and reporting on stories that nobody else is reporting on. They are breaking so many of these news stories. And I know for a fact that even Matt Walsh and a bunch of other big people definitely get news stories from them. I know that, and aren't even crediting them. They're the ones breaking it. So please support them. Anna Slatz, this is Anna, is the co-founder and editor-in-chief at Redux, with a journalistic focus on covering crime, child predators, and women's rights. She lives in Canada, enjoys opera, and I don't know what the fuck that is, Anna. Come on. Ceviches. Oh. Is that a kosher thing? I think that's a kosher thing. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce that. I don't. I'll try. Ceviches. That's the best I can do. Love you. I'm sorry. I appreciate you. I don't know what the fuck that says. All right, Anna, awesome. Excellent article. Well done. We really appreciate you. Let's real quick before we hop off. All right, so this dickhead did a few of these. Let's just take a look at a couple of more of his complaints. Allegation 2. As a result of being inappropriately housed in a prison that is not congruent with my gender, I have been assaulted on multiple occasions on or about September 28th, 2018, while incarcerated at Mule Creek State Prison. Another inmate attacked me and cut my neck while the guards did nothing to protect me. Sir, how does that have anything to do with your gender identity? Men are getting stabbed up all the time. That is how it is. I mean, if we really want to tackle the real issue, then we need to make prisons safer. But you're a murderer, sir. You're a murderer. Yeah, I wonder how those women felt when you murdered them, when you killed them. You know? The narcissism. Oh, Kavish is Yiddish. Okay, got it. Mech says, anyone who thinks it's good for women that under U.S. law that a woman getting a domestic violence order or saying without naming a man she faced abuse can be bankrupt by a man is missing the point. Oh, absolutely. That's terrifying. No, you're absolutely right, Mech. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. This is a dangerous precedence, the whole Amber Heard thing. I don't care. I didn't follow it that closely because it was just honestly emotionally triggering for me because I went through a lot of this and I just couldn't. I tackle a lot of hard stories, and that one I just couldn't do. So I don't know all of the details, but from what I do know, I just, yeah, my instinct is I'll side with women, and I know how this system will stack against you and belittle you, and by the time you get up and chip away at what you have and what you know, and they demand all this hard evidence that's near impossible to even get, it's a lot. It's a lot. Let's see. Because you were stabbed in the neck, sir. That has nothing to do with your gender identity. After I was attacked in October 2018, I was placed in administrative segregation, which is solitary confinement with only 1 hour outside of myself for exercise. But my attacker was not. Again, of course, we can't expect that this guy is gonna, report what happened, what really happened. We can't even trust you to report your sex. We can't even trust you to report your real name. How can we trust anything that you say? So again, and let me just be clear, and just on behalf of Anna, because she didn't want to report that this is who this is, because it's not fully confirmed yet, because it is hard to get California stats, but I will bet, if I'm wrong, then you guys can slap me up. But I'll bet you that this is who it is. Again, it's not confirmed, but this is the only person in California corrections with the same name. And this is what he did. This is why, the reason why what he did is not listed in the article. And she's going to make phone calls and confirm it for sure. But I am very, very confident that this is the person, because it looks like the drawing that they did. And a lot of the stuff matches up. It's the same age. It's around the same time. It's him. So this is what he did. A convicted armed robber accused in the 2015 slaying of 2 Texas women in Baton Rouge has been offered a chance to plead guilty to manslaughter. His attorney, yeah, just some women, Yeah, it was an accident. It's hard to not murder women. Yeah, it happens sometimes, right, guys? It just happens. I'm tired, yo. I'm tired, guys. I'm tired. Like, it just feels insurmountable sometimes. Jonathan Robertson, 29, already is serving a 75-year prison term following his September conviction for armed robbery and attempted armed robbery. He was sentenced in December. Robertson of Baton Rouge is charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder in June 19, 2015, killing of Brandy Gilbert of Plano, Texas, and Corrine Rayford of Grapevine, Texas. Let's see if we can look those up. The 23-year-old women were shot in the head and found in a parked car in Boot Avenue in Baton Rouge. Yeah. So a guy who shot 2 23-year-old women in the head after armed robberies and left them in a car suddenly becomes trans and then starts screaming threats of rape and murder after raping and murdering women. And that's not enough to put him in administrative segregation, according to the warden. Was anyone able to find his name? Oh my God. What this guy did is truly insane, and nobody would support his feelings and rights as they knew this. You know what the crazy thing is, Mech? Is that they still do. They still do. So many of these trans rights defenders will literally say that, oh, we can't get bogged down by what they did or didn't do because, we still need to protect the dignity of all trans identifying people and, regardless of whatever. They don't care. They don't care. Lika said that we have a similar thing in Scotland. The vast majority of the public said no to self-ID. It'll be interesting to see if Sturgeon to wave it through. She's horrible. Oh, God. The armed robbery and attempted armed robbery that Robertson was found guilty of committing occurred 2 hours apart on July 1st, 2015. This guy is just like a scumbag. Like, just like a real dangerous, insane scumbag. The pistol used in the attempted robbery of Comfort Inn security guard in the hotel parking lot on Valley Creek Drive off College Drive was traced back to a double murder. A second-degree murder conviction was subject. So that's why. So, all right. So Anna Slatz, if you're watching this, I don't know if you are. That's why. So what happened was he was sentenced. He was doing time already for the robbery that happened after. I think it was the robbery happened after the murders, but then he was convicted of the murders after was already doing time for the robbery. And it was the reason why they're able to connect him to the murders is because they found the guns that were thrown. So that would explain why. That would explain, like, because I was talking to Anna about this, and it would explain why all the dates are like wonky. It's because they were able to recover the throwaways and link it to him as being the murder suspect. A second-degree murder conviction would subject Robertson to a mandatory sentence of life in prison, if only. Robertson, attorney, East Baton Rouge, because again, women aren't enough to fight for. You know what I mean? Like, we're not gonna put all these resources into fighting this case. Give him a manslaughter. He'd be all right. Robertson is attorney, East Baton Rouge Parish assistant public. He had a public defender, and he still got off with manslaughter. Holy fucking shit! So the state couldn't even battle down a public defender. Margaret Lagatuda, that's a tragic last name. Told State District Judge Bo Higginbotham. That's even more. I'm sorry, okay. I'm just going to be professional. On Friday, the prosecutors have made an offer to her client to resolve the murder case. He has not made a decision, and I need more time, she told the judge. Higginbotham, Higginbotham, who last month denied Robertson's motion for reconsideration of his 75-year prison sentence. So all he does, he just files motions, and he does a lot of this stuff pro se. So he just knows how to just keep writing letters and harassing people on stuff to try to, get out of stuff. Obviously, he takes no accountability for anything. God. So September 14th, the trial date, the murder case. Robertson claimed the sentence was excessive. Oh, God. He made off with $70 during these armed robberies. Yeah, cool. Robertson wore an Atlanta Falcons cap with a sticker on the bill during the armed robbery and attempted armed robbery. Prosecutors said his DNA was found on the hat. Okay. He had prior convictions for unauthorized use of a motor vehicle and simple robbery. So this is just like a career criminal. And this is who's being sent to women. But he's a real victim. He's really at risk. The scariest situation a man can imagine is dropping the soap in prison, being vulnerable and trapped. I try to explain that's how women live. Thank you, Dan. Thank you. Yeah, that's a really, really good analogy, and that's really accurate. That's really accurate. It just sucks. We're not protected. Like, no one cares. No one's listening. No one's coming. No one. It's on us. Where are the fathers? Where are the brothers? Where are the men? We have like a handful of gay men who care because they're kind of involved. They have been like with the false teaming and the forced teaming and stuff like that. But where are the brothers? Where are the fathers? Where are the husbands? Where are the sons? Where are the people who should give a shit, who should be there for us? Where? They're signing off on bills like the SB, whatever the hell. Oh my God. All right, guys, I'm going to post I'm going to post the information to write this woman a letter. Definitely, if you can support Redux, if you can support Wolf, if you can even support, I'll even post the information so somebody could send some money to the woman who's incarcerated. If you guys want to support me, all of my my PayPal and all my sort of stuff is in my bio. I really like doing this work. And I appreciate your guys' support. For those who have sent me support, it really does make it so that I can keep doing this, because it's just, there's too much. And this fight, it's like we have so much stacked against us right now. And they have academia, they have Silicon Valley, a big tech, they have, the Democratic Party, they have the President of the United States. They have corporate America all on their side. We're fighting a lot. And again, the paraphilic men are strongly motivated. So anyway, all right, guys, I'm going to sign off. Let me know if you guys have any other topics that you're interested in. Email me at aslightlytwistedfemale@gmail.com. If you guys have any leads or stories that you become aware of, I can't always promise to do them, but, even just making me aware of things just helps keep me informed, and, it does help, and I do my best to cover as many of the topics as I can. Oh, God. Alicia said, oh, okay, it's all the women in the prison who are suing for the housing of Tim's versus Michael Pilares. Meg said, the thing is, men get benefit from this stuff. If they want to avail themselves of it, the option is there when men like this clear the way. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. If anybody hasn't seen, so I have video that is called Gender Fluid Prisons featuring Hakeem, and it's a conversation I had with my boyfriend. And he gave, I think, some really interesting insight on like the psyche of men and even like non-trans identifying men. And he like confirmed a lot of the stuff that we suspected. And this is before and I've opened up to him more. I don't keep him informed in everything that I deal with. It's just too much. And I kind of like being able to like unplug when I hang out with him, but he knows basically like what my work is about. And, but it was cool because that I was able to get that interview with him like before I'd gotten really deep into this topic. And so I had just a really honest, raw conversation with him. And that he had no kind of agenda or whatever. He gave a really honest insight into sort of the thinking of men when they're locked up and why men would want to actually use these loopholes. And he was like, are you kidding me? Like, of course. He's like, I would. Why wouldn't I if I had a life sentence? Be with a bunch of women opposed to a bunch of like men who are aggressive and everybody's fighting each other and you have to deal with a bunch of bullshit, or a bunch of women who will just like hang out with you and you can like find a couple of them to hook up with. Like, yeah, like no question. Dan says, as men, we know that this is a sexual thing mostly. Yeah. And the thing is, it's like, men aren't being impacted by trans men. Like, no offense, but like no one's like, oh, trans men are a big threat. Like, it's like almost comical. Oh, God. XJW Therapy Fairy says, exactly, where are the male family members? Where are the families of these women prisoners? And that's a shame. And the thing is, a lot of them came from abuse. They are disenfranchised in so many ways. That's why this one woman who's like speaking up on behalf of the other women is really, really remarkable and deserves our support. Mex said, it's a precious gift when men get hilariously honest. Yeah. He was great. He was really great. He was like, so later he was like, crap, well, should I have been like more like, I don't know, like intellectual about it? I was like, no, you were perfect. You were like so just straightforward. And like, he was like, I don't know, am I going to like, people are going to think I'm like ghetto? I'm like, no. It was so good because it was so honest, and it was a perspective that we rarely get in these conversations. So if anybody wants to go check out that video, it's really worth looking at. It's called Gender Fluid Prisons. I'll post a link to it. It's good. I just think it's interesting hearing his perspective. I think it's like a really underrated video that we did. But anyway, guys, thank you so much. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Mech, thank you so much for being my moderator. I really appreciate you. I appreciate you like hanging out the whole time. I appreciate all of you guys. Mandy says it's pretty hilarious when gay men get peaked when they are finally confronted with having to eat pussy. Yeah, and totally like offended when people like give them a hard time about it. They're like, no. What? Oh God. So this is what, you know? Yeah, it is funny. Oh yeah, Wolf. Yeah, Women's Liberation Front that's helping the women at CCWF. Yeah, exactly. And they need a lot of support. So, you know, Redux is great. Again, thank you to Anna Slats. Thank you to everybody in the stream. I appreciate you guys. Like I said, anybody who's able to support the channel, all the support means a lot to me, and it just makes it so that I can keep doing this work, you know, and I'm not taking too much away from my own family to do it. And, you know, all my PayPal information is in my bio. And like I said, Redux has their, what's it called? They have all their information too. If you want to donate to them, donate to Wolf, and I'll send the information about the woman who put all of this on blast. So I appreciate you guys so much. I really do. Yeah, Mac, thank you so much. No, it really does help having you moderate. You're the best. And like, I trust you. You're like probably one of the number one people I would trust to be my mod. So I have good mods. You and Dystopian are really good. Hey, Stone. Oh, we're leaving now, but catch up on everything. It was a sad stream, but it was a good stream. All right, guys. Thanks so much. Talk to you soon. Bye.